So this actually wound up being more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Turns out we've looked at a lot of mice together this year. So let's frame this up a little bit. Every mouse on this list is an FPS mouse. Most of the mice on this list are all going to be lightweight mice. Now, as we move through this, in the interest of not being here all day, I'm going to hit the highs and the lows. If you want to see a deep dive on any mouse in particular, guarantee there's a full review for it over on the channel. I will link that playlist with all the gaming mice in it at the end of this video. For reference, my playstyle right now is between 800 and 1000 DPI fingertip grip, and my hand measure is 20.5 by 10.5 centimeters. Now, the choice of a peripheral is deeply personal, and if your mouse is not on this list, I'm sorry. There's a lot of stuff here that's up for debate depending on your perspective, but this is my top 5 FPS mouse list for 2019. You ready? Let's go! Today's video is brought to you by Lethal Gaming Gear, your new US-based source for aftermarket mouse glides. Both CorePad and Tiger Gaming are in stock and shipping now for all major mouse models, with Hyperglides coming very soon. Because Lethal is based in the US, they offer 1-day processing and 1 to 3 day shipping in the continental US for much lower than the competition. More models are being added all the time, but if you need something you don't see, hit up the contact form and request stock for your specific needs. And don't forget to use code BADSEEDTech for 10% off your first order. For quality mouse skates fast, hit the link in the description below or check them out at lethalgaminggear.com. Yo, I'm Brian P. You're watching Bad Seed Tech, and today we're looking at the top 5 FPS mice of 2019. Coming in at number 5, we've got the Zowie S1 S2. Now this to me is the best mouse shape there is, period. This was my main when I played low DPI arm aim, palm grip. This was my main for a long time actually, palm or claw. The secret is the width and how short the frame is. It offers great support for the front of your palm as well. Curves are perfect. We've now seen this in Davina colors and then again in matte black. Unfortunately, what we haven't seen is Zowie try to push the envelope in any other area while their competition just blew past them in 2019. The S-Series mice managed to offer up some of the best side buttons in the business, while Zowie continues to put out even the newer EC revisions with the same mushy side buttons we've been seeing and complaining about for a few years. I still don't like the Zowie scroll wheel. I never will. It's not bad for gaming at all, but it does make a terrible daily driver for other stuff. Zowie also doesn't seem too concerned about changes to the cable, pursuing wireless, or going lightweight. Great glides and a great shape, but I wake up every day hoping that G-Wolves has finally cloned this mouse. Sorry, not sorry. Since moving to fingertip, I actually find that I'm more comfortable with the S2, and I know that 87 or 82 grams is not exactly heavy, but I'd still like to see them do this in a lighter weight version. Despite the shortcomings, it's still a beast of a shape. It represents a good value at $70, and Zowie knows how to build a tough mouse that will take some abuse, and for that, it makes the list at number 5. Number 4 goes to the G-Wolves Hottie and Skull. I'm gonna lump them together because shape is the difference here. You either pick the Ergo or the Ambi. These range in price from $70 to $80 US, and there's just a lot to love here in both. The Skull has a pretty standard Ergo shape. The Hottie feels pretty much like a G Pro wireless, with a slightly thicker rear end that affords me a little more control. Both models go overboard in terms of what they include in the box, and the collector's tin, and the extra feet, and the extra switches, and the extra paracords, etc. Not to mention this, alongside the MM710, is one of the best stock paracords, period. Both of these mice perform really well for me. You can basically use whatever grip you like. There are things I like about both, but if it really came down to it, if you really made me pick, I'd have to go with the Hottie. It's just a more versatile shape for how I play. But I really wish they would have done the skeletal side panels like on the Skull. I also like the scroll wheel and the clicks slightly better on the Skull as well, and there's no RGB on the Hottie either, if that's important to you. I guess the Skull's like the better all-rounder, where the Hottie would be my go-to more specifically for FPS. The major drawback with G-Wolves is that you're paying high-tier pricing, but there's still some consistency issues on the production units. They're still working and tweaking and improving, but still my best advice, if you're gonna buy from G-Wolves, buy from somewhere that has a hassle-free return policy, just in case. That sounds dicey, I know, but if you get a good one, they're really good, and they're like featherweight light. The Model D will likely give the Skull a run for its money, especially at its lower price point, but we still haven't seen the final form of the D yet. The next 3 spots were really tough to call, but coming in at number 3, and probably my second favorite mouse shape ever, the XM1 by Endgame. Priced at $60 US, this is a no-nonsense, performance, lightweight, get the job done gaming mouse. No RGB, stealth looks. It's wide, flat, and short. It offers a lot of flexibility in terms of grip style, and it does all this at a weight of right around 70 grams with no holes. Has some of the best clicks in the business as well, and really stable triggers. The fact that this is any company's first mouse is extremely impressive by any measure. I like the incline on the front here. I like the support in the rear. It also flares a little wider at the rear as well. No matter how you grip, there seems to be a place to anchor in and repeat that same grip every time. Only downsides for me on this one are the coating. It's like a total oil magnet. The front side button feels great. The rear is a little floaty. And this rubberized cable. If you're down to paracord it, which can be done really cleanly, it's a beast. Straight up. If you don't care about RGB, if you don't like holes, if you don't want to pay premium tier for wireless, this is the one to own for FPS. Just make sure you leave enough room in the budget for a paracord. Second place today goes to Glorious PC Gaming Race for the Model O and the O-. I actually went back and forth on this and the end game a lot. If I'm being 100, and I always am, I would probably play with the XM1 before the Model O due to the shape and the triggers. But I don't think you can discount the big dick energy move that Glorious made this year. Prior to Glorious, lightweight mice were released in scarce quantities, long wait times, inflated prices, and super sketch quality control. I personally had said what we need is a company to make a mouse like this, but make it available all the time and stand behind the products. And then Glorious went and did exactly that. Shape on these are really flat, so palm grip and even claw grip aren't really comfortable or feasible for people with larger hands. Since I've moved to fingertip, I get a lot more use out of the O than I did before. And they did a lot of things right, but these mice haven't had a perfect run. We've had some issues with consistency of the trigger feel, and the side buttons are largely like a love it or hate it thing. It's tough to deny the amount of value that's packed in this mouse though for $50. The matte copies are one of the cheapest mice on the list today. The cables have been an issue for some as well, but Glorious have continued to make improvements to the build quality, the cables, the packaging, and since I've had their D in my hand, it's become really apparent that they've applied everything they've learned to the new mouse models going forward. Glorious is a brand for the people and the price for performance kings of this list. And the top spot, my number one. The Razer Viper Ultimate. At $150 US, it's far and away the most expensive mouse on this list, but I really just struggled to find anything wrong with it. The coating, the side panels, the scroll wheel, the glides, the wireless performance, solid. It's a flatter shape as well, but it's just a perfect ambi for me. I can easily duplicate the same grip every time. It's only 74 grams for a wireless mouse. The sensor's a beast, the optical switches are fast, the side buttons are really crispy, and the opposite side buttons don't ever seem to get in my way. Really having to nitpick, the sound and the feel of the clicks aren't my favorite, especially versus those crispy boys on the XM1. But the convenience of the wireless keeps me coming back. The battery life is amazing, the charging dock system is great, and the fact that I can use the same dock on the same desk to run both the Viper for FPS and the Basilisk for everything else, amazing. It's gonna take something truly exceptional to make me abandon the mouse setup that I'm running right now. I also don't feel like I've heard much of anything in the way of quality control concerns surrounding these new mice as well. Razer is making some huge moves at the end of 2019. Now, Razer, let's give the people what they want and talk about a lightweight Death Adder. Huh? Sure, it's not cheap, but there's a ton of tech stuffed into this mouse. It performs really well, it's consistent and convenient, the wireless is bulletproof, and still, even after a ton of use, appears to be built really tough. The Razer Viper Ultimate is my 2019 mouse of the year. Now, a couple runners up that didn't make the list but is still worthy of a mention. First one goes to the Cooler Master MM710. This mouse comes in at $50 US, has arguably the best paracord out there, even better than the G-Wolves. It also has a tried and true short wide shape that's perfect for fingertip grip. I guess claw as well if you have a smaller hand. It's a little too small for me for anything other than fingertip. It's also the lightest at just like over 55 grams on my scale, making it the lightest mouse on the list today. I actually mained this mouse for some time, so I know it really well. Ultimately, what kept it out of the list, aside from the disastrous launch where reviewers were sent really sketchy early copies. The post-travel and the unpredictable nature of Mouse 1 did start to bother me after a while. The stock glides are also not up to par with some of the others out there, and the outside of the frame just wasn't comfortable for me without using a skin. An Infinity skin in this case. There is a new version out there too with some RGB jammed in there if that's your thing. For those out there saying that the Ultralight 2 Cape Town is actually lighter, in stock form, it is. You're 100% correct. But in its stock form, it's too narrow for me, even for fingertips, so that leaves me adding enough Infinity skins to make it weigh essentially the same. And for those curious about why the XtraFi didn't make the list, well, it's personal. A lot of mice come through here. On paper, there's nothing wrong with the XtraFi M4. It's a solid small medium ergo with some crazy lines and curves. It just didn't hold my attention for long. Something about the shape and the feel of the coating just left me feeling okay about moving on to the next mouse. I pulled it out to give it a once-over for this video, and I just couldn't get my outside fingers to find a comfortable home. Can't call it. It's just like that sometimes. Well, that's it. It was a big release year for mice. We're not done yet. Today's upload marks my 41st mouse-related upload. That's crazy. As always, affiliate links in the description for everything we talked about today. Any questions, hit me in the comments or drop by the Discord. And that's it for this time. I'm Brian P. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that sub button. And until next time, stay up.